Hey, welcome back to AI Tech Hub. I'm Cody. Today we're diving into an absolute giant in the tech world, SQL. If you scroll through literally any data job descriptions lately, you've for sure seen these three letters popping up everywhere. So let's break down exactly what it is.
Now you might be wondering, why is SQL still the single most requested skill in pretty much every data job out there? Honestly, it's a bit of a fascinating paradox. We're in an industry that is completely obsessed with the newest, shiniest AI frameworks, yet this older foundational tech remains absolutely dominant. To understand why you really need to care about mastering it, we kind of have to look at how we actually manage and interact with information.
Okay, to get a feel for this, picture a massive library. Millions of books stretching out as far as the eye can see, but with absolutely no obvious order. No Dewey Decimal System, no alphabetization, nothing. You could wander those aisles for days, just desperately trying to find one specific fact. It'd be a complete nightmare, right? Without a proper system, all that incredibly valuable information is basically useless because it's trapped and totally inaccessible to you.
But what if you could just completely bypass all that chaos? Imagine you didn't have to wander those aisles at all. Instead, you walk right up to an incredibly efficient librarian and just make a highly specific request. You say, hey, find me every mystery novel published after 2010 sorted by rating. And boom, you get exactly what you need instantly. You didn't have to search a single shelf. You just had to know how to ask the right question.
Well, this everyday library analogy actually maps perfectly to our technical reality. You see, SQL is exactly how you talk to that librarian, except in the digital world, the librarian is a relational database, and those millions of books, those are your rows of data. So instead of spoken words, SQL is literally just the specific language you use to communicate with that database so you can get those instant, highly specific results.
So what does that communication actually look like in practice? Well, we call it a query. A query is really just a precise request written in SQL to pull back exactly the rows of data you need. That's the whole shebang. It's not some dark, intimidating computer code you need to be afraid of. When you write commands like select or where, it's literally just a formal request telling the system, hey, out of all this massive amount of raw information, I only want to look at this very specific slice.
And here's the exact sequence of how SQL works for you behind the scenes. First up, you make that precise request, just like asking for those mystery novels. Next, SQL automatically filters the rows, completely removing any books that weren't published after 2010. And finally, it sorts the data, arranging everything by rating, just like you asked. Retrieve, filter, sort. That simple logical flow is the powerful engine behind how modern data is delivered straight to your screen.
Zooming out to the big picture for a second, why is SQL quite literally everywhere? Well, get this. SQL was actually developed way back in the 1970s. The reason it has survived every single tech trend since then is because it is just incredibly reliable. Almost every piece of software eventually needs to store and retrieve organized data, and SQL remains the absolute clearest, most universal backbone to make that happen.
So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is this. SQL is not magic. It's really not. It's just asking really good questions. If you can understand the logic of what you want to find, you can absolutely learn to write the query to retrieve it. It empowers you to navigate millions of rows of data just as easily as talking to that helpful librarian we talked about earlier.
If you found this breakdown helpful and you're feeling a bit more confident about SQL, make sure to follow and subscribe to AI Tech Hub. We break down a new concept every single explainer to keep you sharp and ahead of the curve. But before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with this final thought. If every major piece of software relies on asking the right questions, what massive game-changing insights are sitting hidden in your company's data right now, just waiting for someone who knows how to ask? Think about it. I'm Cody, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.